You know, like I'm not going to be here forever,
Right.
right? Like I can assure you I'm not going to be hanging around like all of these play-by-play guys. John Sterling and Susan Waldman, your New York Yankees radio broadcast team, God love them.
Legends.
Do you know how old they are?
How old is Sterling?
83. You know how old Susan Waldman is?
How old is
75. So, and you know, the Celtics play-by-play television voice Mike Gorman has been around forever. And I guess for me, you know, I'm really hoping to do this job as long as my body can sustain. And I'm sure that's going to fall on some deaf ears. But I'm telling you, this job is a grind. The travel's a grind. Changing time zones is a grind. Like, it really does wear on you. Like, I have to lean into the cardio and everything else. But I'm not going to be doing this till I'm 70 years old out of ego.
You
No
don't
way.
think so?
No, I know so. Like, I'll bag groceries before I do this job at 70 years old. You heard it here first. Like, and part of that will be to let someone like you get in there.
Have you felt like it's when you look at the end of the when you kind of tally it all up, is it worth it?
No doubt about it. And I've sort of tried to bring my twin brother into the performance space a little bit. He was always the performer our whole lives. He majored in musical
heard about
theater,
this.
acting, singing, everything, you know. So it's sort of weird that the shoe is on the other foot. But, you know, not unlike Michael and Bruce Buffer providing opportunities for each other, you know, I feel like he has a passion, and that's been really exciting for me to be able to sort of share some of this with him. But this is all for my children and all for my family. You know, I never wanted to do television. You know, I wanted to be a sports
Right.
writer. And then I was like, maybe articulation is a better path. And then I wanted to be on the radio. But I never really wanted to do television. I was at ESPN and I was working for ESPN Radio. They needed television talent and kind of moved over that way. But I just wanted to work in sports. That was the goal.
What does internally it feel like to do your dream job? Because you're in kind of one of those unique situations that I think not everybody can confidently say, I'm doing my dream job.
So my daughter Riley asked me recently, like, what's the best part of your job? And I really didn't have a great answer. Certainly my answer to people like you is when a first-time champion like Leon Edwards breaks through and becomes the champ, that's the best, you know. But I think it is getting back to my hotel room after we've had a particularly good show or broadcast and just exhaling. There's a definite rush and a high once a show is in the can. But, bro, this is not a 3-hour football game. These are 8-hour marathon monsters.
And you don't even pee, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, dude, my
Train the
pee is
bladder?
Rust. Well, I don't drink a lot of liquids. I'm sipping all
Smart.
night. And especially when we're on pay-per-view,
Your
obviously.
mouth, it doesn't get dry?
No, I mean, I'll take sips when it does
Okay.
get dry. And obviously when I'm sick, all bets are off, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I have to drink tea, and then maybe you'll see me leave on a pay-per-view and Rogan and DC will handle the walk. But when we're on pay-per-view, as you know, there are no
Right.
standard commercials, so
Right.
I can't get up. So no one's happier than me when we get a finish in the featured prelim, because that all but guarantees that I'm going to get a window to take place.
Have you ever gone into an event dealing with some kind of, whether it be personal issue or that day you're just not feeling it? Can you recall, and it doesn't have to be a specific moment, because that's got to be difficult as the energetic play-by-play guy when you just don't really want to do it and you're doing 8 hours straight and they don't give a f- that you're sad or that
Yeah.
you're mad or that your wife left you a mean voicemail. Like, they don't care.
No,
You
it's
gotta
a
do
good
work.
question. I expect a lot of good questions from you, and you bring it every time. You know, I have had, I guess, what you could quantify as like some mental health issues over the last 2 years in terms of my overall happiness and trying to say, look, you know, I have a wife and 3 kids and a beautiful family, my dream job. Why am I not a happier person? You know, but I can't say that I've ever walked to a UFC telecast and had any of those negative emotions. I mean, I did a Bellator show in 2009. I was sick as a dog. I was freaking out, you know. But no, I think sometimes I have negative energy when it comes to some of the preparation because it's just so daunting.
Right.
There's so much writing for television. And my guys, Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby, just continue to add fights to these cards. So instead of doing 12, it's 15, it's 30 fighters. So sometimes I have some negative energy when it comes to the preparation because it's just so much. I use every hour until I get to the arena. But once I leave, I'm good.
I'm curious, and you can go into it as much or as little as you want. Were you able to pinpoint, even though you're having your dream job, why perhaps you weren't happier as a person?
I'm still going through that process, and I don't know that I'm willing to sort of reveal all of it right now, but I'm happier than I was, I guess. Last time we were in New York about a year ago, I had a really hard time, and I'm in a better place now, you know. And this is not necessarily a poor me thing, you know. Certainly I think for for all people, but especially for men, it seems like it's more okay to sort of talk about some of these things now. And so I'm certainly willing to do so. And, you know, my twin brother has dealt with some of these things as well. But yeah, I think some things have crystallized for me. And, you know, Colin Cowherd said recently when he was talking about Aaron Rodgers, you know, lubricate, don't agitate. And that's sort of philosophically been something that I've leaned into, right? Is I am confrontational, even though everybody sees me as this nice guy. Like in my family, I'm not the fucking nice guy of that, I can assure you. You know, I'm the truthful.
You're the asshole.
Yeah. Dude, they called me Bad Anik growing up. My twin brother was good. I was bad, you know? So I am, I think, inherently a little bit confrontational. I don't back down from a challenge. And I've really tried to philosophically just lubricate and be positive. And I'm not a gossip monger, like just trying to lay back, do my own thing. And that has sort of helped me.
Well, I think it's also important that for you to even say that, just because people think that when they have that one thing or that one dream job that they're going to all of a sudden be happy. And I think that for me, it's important to hear you say things like that, because the reality is, like, so many people look at you as like, oh my God, like how could he not be perfect or living a perfect life? But it's like, you're a human being at the end of the day too. You've got kids and family and things to worry about. So I think that, you know, it's I'm happy that people like you are talking. And, you know, even like when Patty on his last, you know, post fight, and everybody's expecting Patty to say some, you know, Facebook's lizards, all that shit, and he's talking about something important. I think that it's really important for you because so many people look up to you, whether you know it or not.
Well, thank you, buddy. One thing that I will say, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with any mental health issues that I have had, but one thing that hasn't necessarily been shared that was a very hard navigation for me professionally, you don't see me going in and doing those post-fight interviews anymore. And I haven't shared this publicly. There might be times where they call my number here and there. You know, I went in and interviewed Ian Gary a few months ago when Joe had to go do something when we were in Jacksonville. But, you know, Dana wants champions going in there whenever possible, you know, and which is fine. Like, I send Daniel Cormier in there, right? But at first, right, those were entrusted with me from my first show, January of 2012, when I was working with Kenny Florian. And I did them essentially every show I ever did except for when Joe Rogan was there. There was a time where Brian Stan and I kind of split the inventory. But so that was sort of difficult for me to navigate professionally. And I was thinking, was this a statement about sort of my work? And it was not that. And now I'm sort of removed from that whole situation and of a positive mind about it. But, you know, I worked very hard to establish myself in that role. And obviously when I got the news that I was not going to be going in there anymore, even on fight nights, killed me.
It took a toll on you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.